again, YouTube. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man, and today I thought we would start getting the 1855 ready for spring, and there's several things I want to do to it. One of them being to plumb in Power Beyond up here. I'm waiting on some fittings and things. I talked about that a little bit back in a video, but we need that to be able to run the blower on our new soybean planter. So that's going to be one of the things we do. But another thing that many people probably overlook is I switched this tractor to 38-inch rubber. Oh, I don't know, sometime in the last few years. It was before my YouTube days. And one of the things that a guy doesn't think about when he does that is that the adjustment of all his linkages changes. And so even with these arms all the way down, they're not really low enough to hook up to everything. So we need to get these apart and try to lengthen them. And I don't remember if they move or not. I'm trying to remember. It looks like I've been trying to grease them, but I'm not saying that they're not stuck anyway. So we're gonna get it apart and give it a good effort and see what good that does us. But anyway, I thought now would be as good a time as any, because it's one of those things that you just keep putting off, and then when you need it, you realize, I really wish I had done that. So let's get started. I really don't have high hopes that this is going to work, but I brought a bunch of tools and a grease gun anyway, so we'll see if maybe just by taking this off, if we can rotate it. And then if it rotates easy, we'll unscrew it all the way and then grease it and then put it back. So let's give it a try. There we go. They put these links in there so you can control the amount of float that your arm has in each thing. If you want float, you just take this out, then the arm can move up. If not, put this in and then the arm stays whatever the length is you have here. So that's kind of nice. Oh, how about that? We might be in good shape. I could not remember if I'd ever moved these or not. But at least for this side, which is usually the non-adjustable side that you don't move once you have it on, the other side has the crank adjuster thing, or on the later ones it was made a little different, which you'll see here in a minute. But I'm kind of pumped. I figured there'd be a lot of heating and disappointment, but it's working pretty good. It would probably turn even easier if it was warm, but it's cold out here. So are we almost to the end here? Take it apart and see what we got. See if our grease gun will grease. Well, are we gonna get to the end or what? Here, come on. Well, this is good. I was worried that by the time I lengthened it, there wouldn't be enough threads left to really hold, but we might be able to screw it all the way to the ground. Well, there we have it. Unscrewed from the housing. And looks pretty good, really. Not a whole lot of dirt and crap on it. There's a little bit in there, but way better than I expected. I expected it to be rusty and not working. So I'm gonna hook a grease gun on this and make sure that it still pumps, and then we will reassemble and try to get it where we think it needs to be. The arms are all the way down right now, so I think just by kind of gauging on it with the eye meter, we can probably decide where it needs to go. What do we got? There we go. If you can see it or not, but it's putting grease in there. So I'm satisfied with that. Well, maybe, I guess the right thing to do would be go get the wire brush, or maybe even take this off and, you know, wire brush it, but no, we're gonna just lube it up and put it back in. When in doubt, just use more lube and jam it right in there. It should go. Now when you look at this, how this is made, there's really only threads in about this area here, and then the rest of it is just a hollow tube. So as long as you got enough screwed in that you've got this filled up with threads, you should be fine, but we shouldn't need to go quite that far. You can kind of see, maybe, if you can, maybe not. We'll angle you this way. Now you can really see some stuff. You know, it was up here, so I'd say if we move it where it's down in this area, that'll be what we need. Just wasn't very handy to hook things up. You couldn't get all the way under, and so we'll go with this. Let's try that, see what happens. Or do we want to try this? Put the grease fitting on the inside? Sure. Let's put the pin in, and I'll let you see what we're working with here. Now you can see we got a little bit of a height difference, and I think that'll be plenty low. Probably could even go up a little bit more, but we'll leave it like that, I think, and try to get the other side to match, and then we'll be in good shape. I don't know. There you go. Now you can kind of tell. That's about how much we're off, so we'll try to get them to be mates and then go on with our lives. Let's see. Probably wouldn't hurt to bend those open just a shade more. Probably would also be great to use the right tool, but we're going to go with this. Well, we're just going to pretend that that's good enough because it's being a problem, but that's about how it was when I took it off, and it'd have to have quite the amount of pressure to get that pulled out of there, so we're going to go with that. We'll flip you around and work on this other side now. So this side has the adjustable turnbuckle. I don't know if you can see that or not, but anyway, you're supposed to be able to, you know, maneuver this around and then crank it, the linkage, by hand and get your adjustments. See, there you've got is two nuts, one inside the other, and then you can turn. And it looks like this one's gonna go, but I think it'll still be quicker if I just go ahead and take it loose at the bottom again and turn it that way. But that is not stuck at first glance, so that is good. This side of my rope has kind of shrunk from the sun, I think, or something. It's there we go. Now it's all the way broke off. Let's just do that. That's fine. We can fix that later. These tractors are a little too big anyway to be unhooking from the seat. You really have to lean over, and if you're a big boy like me, that's usually doesn't work very well. Too much mass to cram over the seat. I think we're going to take this one all the way off too. Make sure our grease fitting is still working. Then we'll put it back. And it's getting kind of stiff here towards the end, so it's probably a good thing we're gonna take it all the way off. I would say what has happened, since this bottom is hollow and we've got these holes all the way through, dirt's probably got up in there on the end of this, and that's what we're fighting right now. I guess a person could spray in there and try to clean, but we'll just keep doing it the hard way. That makes sense. Work hard, not smart. There. Well, that turned into an ordeal. It got almost within an inch of being out and then got very, very difficult. So, using a T-post as a big lever, I was able to spin that out of there. So now we can re-grease it and put her back together. So I actually ran out of grease, and I figured I might as well show you how to put this in a grease gun, because I never knew that was something that people didn't know how to do. But when I worked at Napa, a guy tried to return a grease gun saying it was defective, and the only thing that was defective was the operator. So I might as well show you now. Basically, you've got your tube of grease in there, and you've got this spring-loaded rod, so you got to pull it out of the way. You can see it in there or not, and as you use grease, the rod just goes up and pushes in there. You can see, and forces the grease up to the what is essentially a pump. So to get it out, just pull it out of there like that. You can get the empty tube out. You see, nothing fancy. Then before you put it in, you need to lock the rod back like such. Your new grease tube will have this cap on one end, and then it's nice and cold. It likes to stick to everything, but we'll force it back in there. So we've got plastic cap on one end. That's the end that goes down. The other end's got like your, I don't know, Vienna sausage lid on it. Take that off. Put this down here like this. You've still got your rod pulled back. The lip on the top of the can here will kind of hold it in place. Then you're going to want to put your grease gun back together. Just screw it in there. And this is the part that the guy at Napa did not do, and that was he didn't push this rod back in. You have to have this rod forced in, and what it is the rubber head, like you saw a minute ago, is still at the bottom, and the rod is up in the center, and there's a spring, and it's gonna push as it empties. But if you don't have the rod up, that's the head of this can't go anywhere, so you have to have that pushed up through there. Then you have to get air out, and some of these have this little bleeder deal where you can push and get the air out. If that doesn't work, then you can always unscrew this a couple threads and pump. But there you go. Got the air out, and now you've got grease in there and you're ready to go again. So I guess if you didn't know how that worked, there you go. Well, now let's try grease fitting number 2. See how well that does us. You can see down in there how much threads you have. Like I said earlier, they don't go all the way down, just a certain maybe about 1.5 inch section. I'll try to do this one-handed again. Maybe not. Maybe I can't. There we go. Let's see. Uh-oh, this one not wanting to take. Well, this one we might have to do some work on, because it does not appear that it wants to take grease. If we can try to clean it from the inside a little bit. Well, we're not having much luck, so let's take this one out and replace it. And I tried it down there with a wrench. Didn't have any luck, so we'll try it with a 6-point socket. Another handy tip, I guess, if you have something that you don't think you're going to get without rounding off, definitely use something with 6 points first, because that will not slip as bad as a 12-point. Yeah, that's plugged up pretty good, so let's throw a new one in and then we'll try it again. Well, there's one that looks like it'll work. Let's put it in there. There we go. Now, if we put this on here, we should get some grease. And we do, very easily. So that's good. We'll put just a little bit on this screw. Just enough to make a mess of everything. Because you know that most of it is going to get kicked out as it goes. You screw this up there. But you never know. Some of it might hang in there. Keep it from rusting. We'll try this and see what we got. I don't know if this is the right amount or not, but it's a good place to start. And it'd probably be better if I put all the pieces in right away. But if I do that, we're almost certain to have to do it twice. So, there we go. Now, we'll take a gander here. See if we got evenness. I think we're pretty close now. That side might need to go down just a little more, but we can fine-tune adjust that up here with our adjuster screw later on if we find we have to. Since we know that that works now, that won't be a big problem. So I think we'll leave it there, put our pin back in wherever it went. Somewhere along the line I dropped this and I don't know where it is, but I'll find it. Don't worry about that. Well, that's ridiculous. It's like it flew away. I tell you. Here, pin, here. Come here. Here, boy. Where are you? Here, pin. Well, that didn't work. Well, what you're going to want to do is make sure that all your hardware is a nice brown and green so that it blends in with the ground. Oh, here it is. Good. Well, I've been looking for that for longer than I want to admit, so we'll just put that back in now and move on with our lives. Fun fact, I guess, back before you had these, which is the same thing that will fit in here, before these were a thing, you used these, even for your 3-point. I've got some of those around here still somewhere, but anyway. That one's about wore out, but we'll go ahead and use it anyway. I would rather just, you know, lose it in the field and be stopped for an hour when it's hot. You know, you need a break when it's hot, so that's fine. Gonna have to make me some new ropes too here for this, but I think there's enough we can pretend. It's not gonna let it latch like that, but anyway, I'll have to make new ones. The idea, of course, was that you can unlatch or latch from the seat, and it does work, but for some reason, I've noticed over the last few years that this type of rope seems to shrink. So it used to have a lot more slack in it, like this one. Now this one's too short because of the extra length we created, but I had a lot more sag in them. There was enough where it kind of hung down. So we'll have to just make some new ones. No big deal. Another thing on 3-point I should point out is that there's actually 2 different top links listed in the parts book if you had 34 or 38 inch tires. This one is the one for 38 inch, so that worked out great. But there is actually a difference. The 38 one is slightly longer. It gives you more adjustment to be able to reach things when you have the 38 inch tires. So if you switch it over, that's another thing you might have to think about, depending on if you're going to use it. I guess if you're just going to drive it in a parade, it really doesn't matter, but there is a difference, so be aware of that. Another part of the Power Beyond adventure is we're going to need a set of these couplers over here to run the blower. And I thought about different ways I could mount them on here, because I don't like stuff to look cobbled up if possible. But what I came up with was this fella right here. This is the same bracket like as what is over here. And this is actually the bracket that came off this tractor when I got it. And it was all bent up and messed up. So I got that other one and didn't throw it away. And that's good because I heated it up with the torch and I bent it so that it fits opposite. So now I should be able to mount it in here and the coupler can come out and be there. And I think that's going to be what I want. I'll put it on here quick and you can see what it looks like. So there's a quick mock-up of what it's going to look like. It'll be a mirror image of that one. And that way, I'm sure that it's going to be out of the way of everything, because this is designed for this, so it shouldn't interfere with our 3-point. I'm waiting on some more fittings and stuff to put the Power Beyond, but I think I'm going to route the pressure line up through here and curve it around up top to my adapter. And then the other one has to go right from here. So we'll figure out a way to snake that down so that it doesn't look ridiculous. And then we should be in business. Well, looking at the statistics, I've noticed that my videos are the most popular with people in the about 35 to 70 age range. So I guess while we're here, we might as well try to get some of the 7 to 35-year-old range, and we'll try to do a cold start on this for absolutely no reason, because it seems like people in that age bracket love cold starts. So here we go. I'm not a cold start expert. I don't know. Do I give it some preheat first? Do I just turn the key? I'll give it about, 15 seconds of preheat. That's half of what it's supposed to, so that's about in the middle maybe. We'll just go with that. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Oh, it doesn't like that. I don't like being out here either, buddy. It's too cold. Let's give it some more. Oh, come on, buddy. I know, it makes no sense to be doing this, does it? But we're going to do it anyway. Come on. Maybe not. Oh, I think we're going to ruin the battery before we get it started. Well, we can let it sit a while. That works sometimes, to let the heat kind of build up in there. You can see that it's cold enough that my oil pressure gauge is still at 20 pounds after it's been sitting here not cranking. It's going down a little bit, but yeah, it's cold. It doesn't like that. I don't like being out here either. Well, I don't know about you, but this seems totally pointless. Now, you want to see how somebody who needs to use a tractor in the winter really starts it? Get you a can of the good stuff. Don't go to Walmart and be buying your premium starting fluid, which is about as good as water. Get the stuff from the dealer. Doesn't matter what dealer, it's good stuff. All it's got to do is sniff it. That's enough. Once it gets a breath of that, that's all it takes. You don't need to be spraying it, emptying the whole can in. Just a sniff. We'll let it charge up a minute while it's sitting here running. This hasn't run since probably about the end of October or November. Well, that's about enough nonsense for today. I hope you enjoyed at least some of that. So anyway, if you like these videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up and like. That helps me out, and I'll keep making stuff as long as we can. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.